Hello, my name is Rob Williams. Welcome to rounds 7 and 8 of the 2005 World Touring Car Championship. Before we head over to the action, let's just remind ourselves of what has happened so far in this, the inaugural season of the WTCC. Rounds 1 and 2 were in Monza, Italy. Race 1 saw BMW's German driver Dirk Müller stay in control from pole position to take the flag.
The BMWs have got the power pegs that they need, and as they come to the checkered flag, it'll be the pole sitter who leads, having never been challenged to the flag. Dirk Müller wins it.
Race 2 saw Britain's James Thompson driving for Alfa Romeo, managing to stay in front of Dirk Müller and take the victory in front of 40,000 very happy spectators.
But it's victory in race 2 of the World Touring Car Championship, his first World Championship weekend. James Thompson wins race 2 for Alfa Romeo.
Magny-Cours in France was the venue for rounds 3 and 4. Winning race 1 was another BMW and another Müller, but this time it was Jorg, not Dirk, who hung on from pole to take the checkered flag.
As Jorg Müller romps to race 1 victory.
Race 2, and it was a case of as you were, with Jorg Müller winning despite starting 8th and BMW claiming the first 4 home.
Jorg Müller with a double race win will certainly have closed on the lead pair in the championship.
Rounds 5 and 6 were at the home of British motor racing, Silverstone. Race 1 was dominated by Alfa Romeo. They took the first 4 places, with Italian Gabriele Tarquini across the line first.
And at the moment, Alfa Romeo are making Silverstone look like an Italian circuit. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Race 2 was dominated by Englishman Andy Priaulx representing BMW. But leading with just 3 laps to go, the Channel Islanders' front right tyre blew, leaving the door wide open for Seat's Ricky Rydell to drive through.
Rydell wins round 6 for Seat, the 3rd different manufacturer, the 4th different race driver, the 5th different race driver to win a race this year.
So after round 6, the Drivers Championship looks like this. Dirk Müller in first leads Tarquini by 2 points, whilst Priaulx and Jorg Müller are tied on 27, 3 points further back. The Alfa Romeo pair of Farfus and Yorkshireman James Thompson are 5th and 6th respectively. 6 rounds down, 14 still to go. It could not be any closer. In the manufacturers' standings, BMW are out in front with a lead of 6 points over Alfa Romeo. Like the drivers, there's sure to be some changes before the end of the season. Rounds 7 and 8 are in San Marino at the world-famous Imola circuit. The track is 4,333 metres long, and the 2 races will be 11 laps each. Before we see how qualifying went, commentator Martin Haven and driver Peter Turting take us around this renowned racecourse.
Well, let's have a look at the Imola track, the circuit Enzo Edino Ferrari, named after Italy's most famous patron saints. Well, coming across the start-finish line, 205 kilometres an hour, 6-gear flashing down towards the long braking section into Tamburello. This is a 3rd-gear corner, bumping over the curbs, 100 plus kilometres an hour, accelerating hard left and up towards Villeneuve. Next corner again emasculated by a chicane, again a 6-gear approach in the front-wheel drive Seat Toledo Sport, again just a shade under 200 kilometres an hour, 125 miles an hour, 3rd gear 115k, so that's a 70 mile an hour corner down to Tosa, absolutely vital. 2nd gear and the exit here, very steep uphill incline. Riding the curbs as you do so often around Imola. Some are flat, some are very bouncy indeed. Across the top of the hill towards the Priaulx, 180 plus kilometres an hour into 5th gear, just breathing it through and then chasing the gas all the way out. Again, vital run down here all the way down into Acqua Minerale, picking up speed on a very steep downhill run. 5th into Acqua Minerale, down into 4th, down into 3rd, 100 kilometres an hour, 62 miles an hour, and again a vital exit, long power sapping climb on the way out. This takes you up to the Variante Alta around the schoolyard at Acqua Minerale. Is one of the most decisive points on the circuit. This is also very easy to get wrong. 120k 3rd gear, but you approach it in 5th gear over the brow of a hill onto the curbs like Dingledale at Silverstone. again rushing down the hill towards the Ravazza, flat out in 6th gear, really weaving under braking. Terting struggling to control the Seat. 100 kilometers an hour, double apex left-hander using all the road and more. Lots of green concrete being used there as well. That's not grass. Pulling it back up through the gearbox. 185 miles an hour, 5th gear, not quite into 6th as you get down to the Variante Bassa, the final chicane on the circuit. It's busy all the way. It kills drivers and tyres. Pole position going to Fabrizio Giovanardi. Astonishing performance from Fab this weekend. Fab Gio in the doldrums since leaving the dominant Alfa Romeo team with which he won 6 consecutive championships. A year out of the winning circle at BMW and only 1 win since. But stamping his authority on this weekend at what he claims is his favourite racetrack. Half a second quicker than anyone else in every session. Next closest man is Antonio Garcia. 0 point for him at Silverstone. But the fastest BMW in qualifying, only 15 kilos of weight ballast. 3rd quickest and best, Seat Horikane, stung again by the success of Ricardo Rydell perhaps, or just having a much better weekend. 3rd on the grid, 0.744 behind Giovanardi, so almost 3/4 of a second, 1st to 3rd. An enormous advantage in Giovanardi's favour in qualifying.
So it's Giovanardi on pole. Let's go to the grid with commentators David Leslie and first Martin Haven.
View back Mandy Priaulx's BMW. He's got 3 cameras on board, front, rear and interior. We'll get a chance to look at those. And starting from the pit lane, is that Peter Terting or Ricard Rydell? Tom Coronel's independent Seat. Now that was the best of the GR Asia Seats in qualifying, so there'll be a gap on the grid where he should have been as well. Fastest in this morning's warm-up, incidentally, in terms of top speed, was Andy Priaulx for BMW. But in terms of overall time, as he has been throughout the weekend, Fabrizio Giovanardi for Alfa Romeo. Well, coming on to the back of the grid, Sascha Perdel, the Austrian, in his Ford Focus ST170. Pole, Giovanardi alongside is Antonio Garcia. And as we get ready for the red lights, expect to see the BMWs starting very strongly from 2nd and 5th with the Alphas and the Seats around them. Here comes Garcia, there goes Priaulx trying to get some traction on the grass. Little nerf there with Horikane, who got too much wheel spin, and it will be the BMW of Antonio Garcia that leads. Andy Priaulx coming around the nose of Fabrizio Giovanardi into 2nd place. Everybody else in 3rd. David down into the 1st corner. Round goes one of the Schnitzer BMWs, Jörg or Dirk Muller. Can't see which at the moment, but the 2 of them were starting down in the late 10s and early teens, but right behind the lead group already Roberto Colciago going well. It's Jörg Muller. Looks like the car is out of the race, sitting down a little lower on the left rear than the right. Giovanardi inside Priaulx, and that is for 2nd place. Giovanardi really in a league of his own here, David Leslie. It's going to be very hard to catch him.
Yes, we said at the very start, he has been on top all the way through this weekend. And even though we said that if the BMWs get off the line very quick, it will take a very short time before he's back past them. He's passed Andy Priaulx already, and very shortly he'll catch that lead car, Garcia. Garcia, also Italian, knows the circuit extremely well, but I can't see it being very long before Giovanardi catches him. Already he's starting to stretch away from Andy Priaulx, and that looks like Dirk Muller right behind Andy Priaulx. And looking further back to see what's behind that there, Jordi Genet in the Seat, and then another of the Alfa Romeos probably. And
that looks like it might be Farfus. Tarquini was too far back, and it is Farfus. And then behind him is the Honda Accord Euro R, very much improved this weekend. And Andrea Di Michele, one of the drivers, saying for the first time they're not learning a racetrack here, or he's not learning a racetrack, so they've started with some knowledge of where they're going, which means they can spend more time working on the car. Looking back from Priaulx, there is Dirk Muller. Horikane started 3rd. We're looking forward at Hane now from the number 5 car, number 7 car rather, of Augusto Farfus, and he thumps Hane. Now there's a chance for the Honda to try and make a move, and Roberto Colciago won't need too many extra offers, will he? Look, he's trying to come around the outside, and he may well get past Farfus. The Honda really has got some straight line speed, David. Fastest 2 cars through the speed traps were the 2 Hondas, privately run cars.
Yes, that's right. And the two drivers, Robert Coggiaggio has actually entered as a works driver, and his teammate Michele is entered as an independent driver. So these cars, I don't know whether they've got extra engines or performance from somewhere, but certainly very, very quick here this weekend. And you can see these red tyres mounted on the insides of the curbs. That's to stop these touring cars from cutting too much of these corners. And I think on that very last corner, you can see just before the start and finish, they'll get moved out of the way. Oh, Coggiaggio hit him hard, and that's into the wall, and that's the end of that car.
I think he broke the steering then on Jordi Henay's car. There was no attempt from the middle of the corner for Henay's car to go left, which there should have been. Coggiaggio will receive a penalty for that and may get one immediately. Taps inside Henay. Maybe not. Yes, that little impact there. Look, the wheels aren't turning. I think that probably broke his steering. Look back at the start. Garcia on the left. Watch Priaulx come down the inside, mounts the curb, just has enough traction to squeeze his way past Jordi Henay. That's got to be a racing incident. But Coggiaggio perhaps taking one liberty too many. Don't know who turned around Jörg Müller. Let's have a look. Don't know whose camera viewpoint this is from. Oh, there's Müller backed out, and somebody else off. Was that James Thompson off in the gravel as well? We didn't see that from the exterior shot, but we haven't seen Thompson.
And that's a change for the lead. That didn't take long, as we suggested that Giovanardi should be through into the front. Very, very up for it this weekend. That's an Alfa Romeo in first place now, but second, third and fourth are the BMWs. You've got Garcia in second, Andy Priaulx in third, and Dirk Müller now into fourth place.
Antonio Garcia and Giovanardi really in a different race. Garcia with only 15 kilos of weight penalty. Giovanardi in a different class with only 5 kilos. Behind, though, Priaulx and Dirk Müller with 40 and 35 kilos, so in a slightly different BMW battle. And then behind them, the normal front-wheel drive battle, probably where you really ought to be seeing Giovanardi. But David, he's left all of that behind, and that's being led by Coggiaggio, Farfus and the rest of them. Race leader Fabrizio Giovanardi, Antonio Garcia a couple of seconds back. Giovanardi really in a class of his own here. David Leslie leaving the Spaniard and everybody else trailing in his wake.
Yes, we did expect this. He's been top of the timesheets and every free practice and every qualifying, and also this morning's warm-up. He was in very confident mood when we spoke to him before the start of the race. He was expecting to win this race without doubt. It's a circuit he loves. He's on his home turf in Italy, and he's got an Italian car. There's no more you can possibly ask. But further back you can see what's that's Farfus, then Coggiaggio, James Thompson and another BMW, and a big battle behind that between the rest of the Seats and Zanardi as well. So you've got Rydell, Terting, who's come up from further back on the grid. Remember, he had that penalty of 10 places on the grid because they changed his engine this morning. So his new engine obviously working extremely well for him out there, and he's pulled himself up now to 11th place from his faraway start. At the very beginning, we've seen one of the red cars going off at the chicane when Müller was turned around, and that was Tarquini. He's got going. He's going very quickly indeed, but he's now up to 16th place. He'll be trying desperately to get himself up. But there, you can look at there's the Seat cars now, all in a row, lined up behind each other.
Well, that's three of them. Jason Plato in the middle, Ricard Rydell, Peter Terting, and in fact Plato at the back now. And right behind them, Alessandro Balzan, who is now the front-running independent, because the top non-factory team driver Coggiaggio, although he's not registered as independent, is 6th. And that's the end of the race. Red flags here. Surely that is out of the final chicane, and that is a monster impact. That is the last starter on the grid. Well, that is a very big impact indeed for the Ford. That's the Ford Focus ST170. Sascha Plodel, the Austrian driver. That will bring out the red flags, and if it doesn't, somebody needs taking out and shooting, because he has had a monster impact, a very dangerous looking crash. The rescue crew's running towards him. Giovanardi has come down into the Rivazza, and that has got to be surely the end of the race. I'm sure he will be met here by red flags. Antonio Garcia 2nd, Andy Priaulx 3rd. Well, maybe not. They're towing the car away. It looks more mobile, but that has barrel rolled, surely. Look at the roof on it.
It looks really dangerous, and that's just where all the cars will come out and go across that exit there and towing the car away, and the marshals were running for their lives at the same time. So that was a little bit on the edge as to should the leaders be around before it was cleared, and certainly the leaders were there before that car was in a safe position. Yes, the yellow flag's being waved furiously by the marshals beforehand, before they arrived there, but I have to say that's very quick action to be able to move that car. The driver obviously, even though it barrel rolled, and got himself out and away fairly quickly to the marshals' access with the breakdown vehicle to try and tow it off to a place of safety. And as they were towing it away, right at the back of there was the marshals running, trying to hide behind it, so that if another car lost control, that they didn't get taken out as well. But here we see the leader now stretching himself away little bit by little bit from Garcia. Andy Priaulx managed to put just a little bit of space between himself and Dirk Muller, who's now in 4th place, and somewhat further behind these first 4. You pick up the rest of the crowd, which is Farfus Junior in 5th place and Roberto Colgiajo in 6th place.
Yeah, Colciago just ahead of James Thompson, and then Alex Zanardi, and then the Seat battle. Rydell, Terting, Plato, with Baltzan hanging on the back. Then 13th and 14th, the 2 Chevys, Menu and Larini. But looking back from Andy Priaulx, well, the top independent is Alessandro Baltzan. He's in 12th place at the back of the Seat queue. We've lost Mark Enrici, though, the man who is leading the Independence Trophy battle in terms of points. He went off on the opening lap, so not having a great race weekend here. Priaulx then, 3rd place, and vital points after failing to score in the second race at Silverstone, round 6 of the championship. Looked as though he should have had 10 points. Comes here 5 points off the championship leader, Dirk Muller. Should have been 6 ahead of him if all other things had gone according to plan. But Priaulx still very much in the hunt to defend his European Championship title and turn it into a World Championship title as we get towards the halfway stage of the season. Races 7 and 8 this weekend of 20. Jörg Muller with a ding in the door going round, so he's obviously being dragged to a place of safety and able to continue. And that might be vital in race 2. He may yet get a point or 2. Dirk Muller at Silverstone started 25th, got to 10th in race 1 and converted it into points in 6th place in race 2. Just goes to prove there is never any point in giving up in this championship, David. Dirk Muller tied on points with Andy Priaulx last year, only lost the championship because of the lack of race wins compared to the Brit, but it means that every single solitary point you can gain might be a championship winner at the end of the year.
That's without doubt, and in this game, certainly the Touring cars, you must never give up. And what must be heartbreaking for Andy Priaulx was that last race at Silverstone when he was leading, and he ended up with a puncture, and that put him out. So that was 10 points, 10 possible points. It should have been his in reality. He had a good lead over Rickard Rydell and he didn't finish, so that was them 10 points gone. What it did do was it elevated Rickard up into 1st place, and he went on to win the first race for Seat in a World Touring Car Championship event, and that was absolutely terrific for them. And to add the icing on the cake, Jason Plater came home in 2nd place. And this week they are currently 9th and 11th, and that looks like the driver that was upside down a few minutes ago.
I think that is Sasha Plerd, also very pleased indeed, because looking at that wreckage from behind, that looked like a very big impact indeed. You can see the scuff marks on the roof of his Ford Focus. Now, David, that's a problem for the team, because after this race they have to pack the cars and put them on a boat to send them to Mexico. That's going to the skip, that's going to the local dump, that's not going to Mexico.
No, I think being independent as he is, he might now decide that as he doesn't have a car left, it might not be going to Mexico at all.
So, Fabrizio Giovanardi better make hay while the sun shines, not only because he'll start 8th in the race 2 grid and it might be awfully hard to get through a thick pack of BMWs then, but also because next time out it won't be his home track, it'll be a track that nobody knows. When they get to Puebla in Mexico, all bets are off. Nobody will have any setup information, and then it's the team that thinks best on their feet that will survive and win the races. Fabrizio Giovanardi leading from Antonio Garcia. Priaulx now with Dirk Muller right behind him, the Guernseyman and the German, 3rd and 4th. Augusto Farfus 5th, leading Roberto Colciago for Alfa Romeo and Honda. James Thompson, 7th place, and Alex Zanardi, 8th at the moment, will start race 2 from pole position if nothing changes. But behind him, Terting, Plato, Baltzan, they are all going strongly behind Ricard Rydell, all just clamouring to get that 8th place, to get a point and to get pole for the next race. Bit of a dramatic moment for Muller and Priaulx. They're really pushing hard here.
Yeah, these two are really very much on the limit. They want to beat each other very much so. And you've seen Andy Priaulx lock the wheel up there coming into the corner. Andy had a 1.2 second gap, and all of a sudden that disappeared. Obviously made a small mistake somewhere, and that's allowed Dirk right onto his tail. And Dirk's trying very hard. You can see him all over the curbs everywhere trying to hang on. Andy just seems to have that little bit of an edge. I don't know. They're carrying very similar weight, and he's hanging on in there. And Andy really is looking to finish on the podium. And he would very much like to have that 3rd place in order to pull an extra point away from Dirk, because Dirk's ahead of him by a few points in the championship at this moment in time, only by 5 points. But he's working very hard as Andy to make sure that's exactly where it stays.
Absolutely right, and this will just narrow the gap a little, but monster lockups again from Andy Priaulx on board with the Guernseyman. Normal stick shift gearbox in these BMWs, front engine rear wheel drive gearbox alongside the driver, normal H pattern 5-speed gearbox. The rest of the front wheel drive cars have a 6-speed sequential gearbox with the push forward to change down, pull backward to change up lever, very much in the style of a motorcycle gear change. But the rear wheel drive BMWs still with a very much road car derived gear shift. So Giovanardi leading, Garcia 2nd, and this is the battle for 3rd place on the last lap. Andy Priaulx in 3rd, and further back there is Alex Zanardi just ahead of Ricard Rydell, Peter Terting, and behind them Jason Plato. This is the battle behind James Thompson, 7th, 9th and 10th. The two cars, the red one and the blue and white one, at the moment will be 2nd and 1st on the grid respectively. Now, of course, they are the last point scorers, so the Seat's desperate to get in amongst them. David Leslie, Seat winning at Silverstone in race 2 with Ricard Rydell from that reverse grid starting position, gave Rydell every chance he needed. But here they need just one more position to be in that kind of place once more.
Yes, and they've been trying for quite some time to get it, and I think it's going to be very difficult for them to actually make it up into that 8th place. But on the last lap, when you know it has to be done, sometimes you take some drastic moves to try and get there. And I just hope that we can all get through this very last lap without any problems. But here's a man who's had no problems the whole race long. The BMWs beat him off the line. He was pushed down to 3rd place as he went through the first chicane. Within half a lap he was past Andy Priaulx, and then it didn't take him long, about 2 laps before he got past Garcia, and then he was into the lead, exactly where he expected to be, where he wanted to be for this race, and looking for his 1st win.
First win of the season then for Fabrizio Giovanardi. First win in a while. It's back to the good old days for Giovanardi when the Alphas used to start slower than the BMWs but could drive away from them. 2nd, Antonio Garcia. 3rd, Andy Priaulx, holding off championship leader Dirk Muller to 4th place. 5th, Augusto Farfus Jr. 6th, Roberto Colciago. 7th, Thompson. 8th, Zanardi, who'll start race 2 on pole, ahead of the Seats of Rydell, Terting, Plato, and top independent Baltzan. 13th, Menu. 14th, Larini for Chevrolet. Carl Rosenblad's BMW 2nd in the Independence Trophy, and 15th, Gabriele Tarquini, 16th position from 15th on the grid, and a trip through the gravel at Tamburello on lap 1. Jörg Muller also escaped the gravel, 27th place, 2 laps back, but he does finish the race, and he will start race 2. Fabrizio Giovanardi, he hasn't won since April 2004 at Valencia. Now he claims his first World Touring Car win. Antonio Garcia in 2nd place, a good result for him. Andy Priaulx holding off Dirk Muller for 3rd. Well, 6th place for Roberto Colciago, Honda's best result. It's still very much an underfunded shoestring entry. James Thompson and Alex Zanardi chasing him across the line. Ricard Rydell and Peter Terting with Jason Plato. Privateer winner Alessandro Baltzan later disqualified. His car found to be illegal in post-race scrutineering. Loses that independence win, but Giovanardi on top.
So many thrills and spills there in race 1. Remember, in WTCC, the top 8 finishers in race 1 are reversed on the grid for race 2. So this meant Alex Zanardi would start race 2 in pole position. Racing fans across the world hoped he would still be there at the end. Your commentators again, David Leslie, and first Martin Haven.
Alex Zanardi from pole has got a great chance to win his first ever touring car victory. He will start quicker than Thompson, Colciago, Farfus and the rest of them behind him. Question is, can he hold on? The Italian, of course, former Formula One driver, multiple kart IndyCar champion, and survivor of one of the most horrendous motor racing accidents that it's been my misfortune ever to see. Of course, at the Lausitzring, not so far from here in Germany a few years ago. And the legacy of his recovery from that and his continued improvement in this racing car has really been his story of the last couple of years. Now no longer worrying about whether or not they can make the hand controls work. Now it's all about the car, setting up the car, getting the balance right, and giving him the chance to be where he is now, at the front of the grid and with a chance of winning round 8 of the World Touring Car Championship. The grid is complete. The green flag is given at the back of the grid. We are ready to start race 8 of the World Touring Car Series here at Imola. Very short hold on the red lights, away they go. Great start from Zanardi, very slow from Colciago, and alongside him on the second row of the grid, James Thompson, the BMW streaming through. Dirk Muller leading Andy Priaulx. There's Colciago behind, and that is Antonio Garcia trying to come through in the second BMW Italia Spain entry. Gets a nudge from Colciago, and which one of that? That is Giovanardi coming past Thompson, or Thompson, I think. In fact, Giovanardi a little further back. Car number 7 is Farfus. Giovanardi did get held up away from the start. Thompson, but look at Colciago behind the BMW of Garcia. It is Thompson is the lead Audi. Farfus behind Garcia. And Colciago getting pushed back a couple of spots there. Zanardi leads. Dirk Muller second. Priaulx in third place. James Thompson, the only man stopping a BMW 1, 2, 3, 4 as Rosenblad's Crawford BMW gets eased out there by Alan Menu in the Chevrolet Luchetti. Dramatic action through the first couple of corners. And David, the BMWs really made a very good use there of their traction at the start to ease away from the front drive cars.
They certainly did. They got themselves into that front position going into the first corner, and now you see them 1, 2 and 3. You've got Zanardi, and that unfortunately is one of the Chevrolets out. That's Robert Hoff. He and with him is car 54 off at the same time. That's
Valli in his BMW. Stefano Valli, so it may well have been contact between them. Valli started a couple of spots behind Huff on the grid, and that's normally how you get damaged in the opening going by somebody coming up too fast from behind. He may have tapped somebody else, may have tapped Huff himself. But Alex Zanardi leads a World Touring Car Championship race here at Imola. There is Colciago being pushed by Jordi Hane. Hane going, come on, get on with it. Colciago, the quickest car through the speed traps in qualifying yesterday. But there is the battle with our race 1 winner at the back of it. The second of the red Alfa Romeos, that is Fabrizio Giovanardi. It's Zanardi, Muller and Priaulx leading. James Thompson with Antonio Garcia next. At the next bunch, Thompson right on the tail of Andy Priaulx. Thompson already with that win at Monza and looking perhaps to get in amongst the podium finishers here as well.
He's certainly looking to be the top of the Alfa Romeos at this moment in time, but further back you can see Farfus further back. The yellow flag's out for whatever incident happened here previously. I think that's where Robert Hoff went off along with the BMW, but Thompson's in 4th place, and further back you can see there's a BMW going past one of the Alphas, and I'm not sure why there was so many yellow flags. That's the next corner along is where the BMW is, so it looks like BMW lasted a bit longer than what the Chevrolet did before it stopped.
Well, let's have a look again at the start and watch the BMWs. Dirk Muller and then the white and blue car of Andy Priaulx. White and blue car of Antonio Garcia trying to come through as well. A little bit of a contact there. Long slide around the outside for James Thompson. Just avoids cutting the chicane too much. On board in the number 7. This is Augusto Farfus's view of Colciago rubbing up against Garcia. And he gets his nose into Colciago as well. All of that good, clean rub-in racing. You've got to allow these guys a chance to race these cars. And that is Dirk Muller running out wide as he made a challenge, and Antonio Garcia just holding on to his position ahead of Andy Priaulx, who's got some rear end damage. James Thompson in fourth, the lightest of these cars, bar our race leader Alex Zanardi, who has no success ballast at all. James Thompson running with 20 kilos, and Giovanardi ahead of Farfus, but only just. He's working his way slowly up the order. Now he's got Garcia ahead of him in fifth, but he's got past Rydell and Farfus on that lap. So good thinking driving from Giovanardi, looking to add to that race one win.
Yeah, Giovanardi set off very cautiously in that first race, trying to keep out of trouble because there was plenty of it to be had if he wanted to mix it with everybody else out there. But he sort of spent the best part of the first two laps just taking it nice and easy, keeping out of trouble. Now he's starting to make his moves. It won't be too long now until he catches the BMW in front, and he'll be wanting past Garcia. So we've got Zanardi, Muller, Priaulx, Thompson, and then up after that is Garcia, then Giovanardi.
Well, Garcia has proved before, David, that he's really tough nut to crack. He's such a strong defensive driver. He's no slouch when it comes to aggressive overtaking maneuvers either, but he is really hard to pass, even when there are quicker cars and demonstrably much quicker cars behind him. And Imola, the drivers are saying, is also a racetrack much in the nature of maybe the Hungaro ring, not so much where there's only one line, but where it's very hard indeed to pass, because so many of the chicanes where you might try a move, if it doesn't work, it's onto a long straight or a big climb out of them, which just then kills you with regard to your rival. So it's really hard to pass here. Through Aqua Minerale, James Thompson in the red Alpha, all over the back of third placed Andy Priaulx. Still Alex Zanardi leads. Zanardi leading from Dirk Muller, the championship leader. And I have to say, I don't think there'd be a single person in the paddock that would resent an Alex Zanardi victory. Such is the affinity and the liking for the man himself, never mind everything that he's been through over the last 4 years. It would be one of the big stories of, well, of this or any other race weekend. For Zanardi to return to motor racing was one thing, but to be back in the winner's circle in an entirely different discipline would be something else. Emotion aside, though, Dirk Muller is definitely looking to put in a move. He is quicker than Zanardi at the moment, and Zanardi down into the Variante Bassa loses the lead. Muller goes through, and immediately Priaulx is right with him as well. And that, of course, the scene of last year's major crash. Zanardi got tapped into a huge accident there, shot backwards across the chicane, slammed into the wall very heavily at this race last year. But at the moment he's in second place, and he will fight tooth and nail for every position. Dirk Muller leads, Zanardi second, Andy Priaulx in third. Replay of that lead incident. There is the move. Clinical stuff down the inside. Well, Dirk Muller moving down the inside of Alex Zanardi. Zanardi hardly opened the door for him, but it was a well put to bed move. Andy Priaulx at Tosa diving up the inside as well. Zanardi perhaps with a little less tyre left than either Muller or Priaulx, couldn't hold the line there. And now look, they're all bunched up behind, and it's no longer Garcia, it's Thompson who is the main threat now. Thompson with the big bunch led by Garcia, and then his two teammates, Thompson's two teammates, Giovanardi and Farfus next up. Thompson is the man who has got to make a move, and he's got to make it on this man that we ride with now, Andy Priaulx, hanging on to his roof as they come up over the hill, up towards the end of the lap. There is going to be a lot of sorting out going on here.
I mean, how close is this? You must have 10 cars there, one after the other, in a World Championship event, and we're already 3 3/4 laps into this race.
So Dirk Muller, Andy Priaulx, Alex Zanardi. Big lock-up on the outside from Garcia. Felt the pressure from Giovanardi. Tried to hold him off. Giovanardi goes through. Farfus goes through. Rydell goes through. Colciago goes through. Plato doesn't manage to get his foot in the door before very finally it gets slammed shut. But Rydell went through there, and Peter Terting for Seat. And they've got Roberto Colciago's red, white and black Honda between the two of them. But Plato got through as well. Garcia, my goodness, where did he start that lap? In 5th place, and now he's down in 11th. Next up, Tarquini chasing Larini. That will be the next couple of cars, but they're some way out of shot. And, well, Colciago, one of many there to get past Antonio Garcia. And David Leslie, this is like a NASCAR race on an oval. Everybody is so closely tied together. If you get hung out to dry on the outside line, everybody gets by before you can get back in again.
Yeah, we did see that. One made a mistake and everybody just went past him.
Round 8 of the World Touring Car Championship at Imola, and the battle to be top Alfa Romeo is a strong one. BMW's first, second and third, Dirk Muller, Andy Priaulx and Alex Zanardi, the pole sitter for this race. But Fabrizio Giovanardi repassed there by Augusto Farfus Jr., his teammate, as they chase James Thompson, the lead Alfa here. Giovanardi won the first race, started from 8th on the reverse top 8 grid, and that means that he's been fighting uphill the whole time to work his way back up the order. A mistake from Gio there lost him a place, and he's now got Ricard Rydell right behind, and behind Rydell follow the rest of the Seats. Roberto Colciago in the Honda, then Peter Terting, Jason Plato and Antonio Garcia from 5th down to 11th, a lap or two ago. Well, we seem to have lost Colciago in that little bunch. Yes, the Seats all together now, so Colciago has dropped down the order. Well, David, the Honda going very quickly indeed, but it's still really a shoestring effort compared to the factory efforts of Seat, Alfa Romeo and BMW. Ricard Rydell, the man who won race 2 at Silverstone, looking for a move here. And even between the Seats, this is Jason Plato and on the outside Peter Terting. That's the battle for 8th place, or next best Seat to Ricard Rydell, and even that one's a tough one.
It is. It is very tough out there. They're all trying as hard as they can, but Colciago seems to be missing. I think his car was well battered and bruised. It was right in the middle of it all, basically, and I think absolutely everybody had a go at him at one point or another, so maybe there's not quite so much left to his car as he was hoping.
Yeah, they seem to have fitted Alfa Romeo and BMW and Seat magnets to the Honda this weekend. It's attracting everything else out on the circuit. Top of the Chevrolet pile is Nicola Larini. You just saw battling with Gabriele Tarquini, 11th and 12th place. But here is the battle for the win. Now, Andy Priaulx flashing the lights at Dirk Muller. Come on, come on. What have you, is that all you've got? Well, in that case, get out of the way and let a real driver show you how it should be done. A little bit of kidology going on there. They are both using perhaps a little more of the environs of the circuit than the race directors would like, but keeping it clean between them, and Zanardi not losing much to them either. They got by him, David, but they haven't got much of an extra turn of speed. In the last 4 or 5 laps, they barely opened more than a second over Alex Zanardi. That's
right, when they first got past it looked as though they were going to be able to drop Zanardi, but that just simply hasn't happened. And Zanardi's been right in there all the time. Now this is Jörg Muller coming up the order from 27th. That's a move for 15th position ahead of Alain Menu. And Jörg, battered and bruised, knocked off on lap 1. Don't forget, double winner in Manucore. And then the front-wheel drive teams threw their hands up. Oh, it's a disgrace. The BMWs are far too fast. Can't be having any of that. Guys, calm down. It was only round 2 of the championship. You've got to let these things play themselves out in time. Dirk Muller, though, now he's doing pretty well out front. And Muller already has a win to his credit as well. Andy Priaulx, well, he nearly won race 2 at Silverstone, and he's nearly winning this one here as well. Maybe he sees this as a little bit of vindication if he can get ahead of Dirk to try and wrest that gap back in the points. And that's Thompson who's dropped back of the Alfa Romeos and now being attacked by this bunch of Seats. And
and
round he goes.
That's going to be a firm impact as well. Turned round by Peter Terting, I think it probably was. Ricard Rydell had got by. Blimey, there's more tyre mark than door on the driver's side there of Tomo's car. Rydell got through. Ooh, let's have a look. Is it Plato J of this parish? Oh, it was as well. Former British touring car rivals. Pluto nudges Tomo into a spin. Actually, he didn't hit the barriers, got on the brakes very well indeed there. Jason Plato had just slipped inside Peter Terting and really couldn't help himself there. 4 laps to go. Muller ahead of Priaulx, ahead of Zanardi. BMWs 1, 2 and 3. Thompson in 4th place was at the end of the last lap, but now that has gone, and it's Fabrizio Giovanardi who is not only the best Alfa but also in 4th position. David Leslie not beyond the bound of possibility. He might get a podium yet.
I think it's struggling. They're a little bit further back, the Alfa Romeos. And just a couple of laps ago, we've seen Farfus retake Giovanardi. So I've got a funny feeling it's actually Farfus that's in 4th place.
You are right.
At this moment in time, and Giovanardi's back in 5th place. And they seem to be dropping away now from this battle up front with the 3 BMWs. You can see one of the Alfa Romeos behind the 3 BMWs. But that's great for Zanardi. He really is hanging in there and watching what's going on. That looks like the 2 partners.
It is. Mrs. Priaulx on the left, Mrs. Muller on the right.
And probably opposite ends of the pits, where their trucks are parked, watching the screens to find out what's going to happen. These 2 first and second at the moment in this championship. Dirk Muller leading Andy Priaulx at this moment in time. Obviously somebody's had to go at the back of Andy's car there. You can see a great lump of his bumper is missing. But further back we see one of the Fords, Thomas Klenker there. They've been working hard to try and get these cars to go better all the time. And this weekend has seen a bit of an improvement in the result of the 2 cars.
Well, the 2 Fords running together, 21st, 22nd. Then you see Klenker and Jaeger. But at the front, certainly, well, like Chevrolet, Ford have got work to do to be able to catch BMW, to catch Seat, to catch Alfa Romeo, and possibly even to catch Honda. Now, if there was to be factory support for that Honda Accord Euro R, you have a feeling that it would be right in there and swinging with the top 3 as a privately developed car, albeit with the manufacturer's blessing rather than full-fledged financial support. The Euro R certainly showing a fair turn of speed here this weekend. Priaulx again using more and more of the road, and you sort of sense that Dirk Muller's actually got more tyre left under his car than Andy Priaulx has, and that's not often the case. There is Giovanardi, there is Rydell, there is Terting, who got back ahead of Plato as Plato was turning Thompson round in the chicane a couple of laps ago, or after that had happened. And Antonio Garcia now back up to 9th place. So 3 of the 4 Seats in the points, but only 6th, 7th and 8th at the moment.
And Genet, who started at the back of the grid, has come himself up to 15th place, and that's just behind Jörg Muller, who's now up to 13th place.
Yeah, so Muller, Thompson, who had that incident, and Genet, who got knocked off on lap 1 of race 1, all down outside the points and in the teens. And I have to say, David, in the future of this championship, when you are seeing now 15 cars that can quite happily finish in the top 8, or 20 cars that can quite happily finish in the top 8, I think maybe the time it might come at the end of this season to look at the points and start extending them further down the order. You can't have cars finishing in top 10 and never scoring a point all season. I just don't think that that's going to play very well with the various manufacturers. The battle is on for the final podium position, and I think perhaps Farfus might just have a little more than Zanardi's got left. Similarly though, Priaulx this lap closing up again on Dirk Muller out front by 0.4 of a second, and that's halved their gap. But at the moment, all eyes on Farfus. Can he get his Alfa onto the podium? And if he does, can he do it without knocking Zanardi off the racetrack? Mixed blessings here for Italian fans. Zanardi, Italian, BMW Italia team. Farfus, Brazilian, but in an Italian Alfa Romeo. Ooh, who are your loyalties with?
It's very difficult, isn't it?
Depends who paid for your ticket, really.
And I'm sure there'll be lots of Alfa Romeo fans and lots of BMW Italia fans at Imola this weekend. And this is fantastic racing. This is for 3rd place, and they are really battling hard, trying to go around the outside there. Zanardi firmly closed the door and wasn't going to let him past, and is just making sure that he has the position. He's keeping the door shut and not allowing Farfus to edge himself into getting that car up the inside or whatever it might be. And this is fine. Keeping him on that side of the circuit's great, because the next corner goes through to the right chicane. It goes right, then left. And now he needs to get himself out and make sure he gets himself over to the left-hand side. When he goes down this hill, it's a left-hander at the bottom of the hill, so he'll stay on the left once he goes round this corner. And now he'll stay back out to the left. You can see that it's really hard into the back of that BMW's coming, that Alfa Romeo. And right behind that, Giovanardi is now caught up right behind Farfus. So you've got the 2 BMWs, and Rydell is there as well. I hadn't realised that Rydell was catching the group.
This is going to be a big sort out in the last couple of laps, and when cars are this closely matched, it's so hard to do that.
And that was the end of lap 10. It's an 11-lap race. This is the last lap. There it is on the screen. It says last lap. Zanardi has to try and keep those 3 cars back for 1 more lap, and he's moving that car all over the circuit, doing his best, filling the circuit with that blue and white BMW in order to keep these cars past. And now Farfus is driving a lot better than we've seen him, because his car hasn't got as many dents in it. He hasn't taken as many people off as he has done in the past. He has a bit of a reputation, and we're just hoping that if he does manage to get past Zanardi, he does it very cleanly and not the way it's been done in the past.
Last lap, my feeling here is that pressure is on Farfus. He's got Giovanardi behind him, who wants every point he can get, and we know that Giovanardi is a ruthless, cold-blooded killer when it comes to that critical overtaking manoeuvre, and he's got Rydell right there as well. Zanardi's only got to worry about Farfus, and it is a worry. Farfus had to worry about Giovanardi, and Farfus again could not get it done, and that will be a penalty for him for the next race. He will, I hope, be penalised for that, because although you've got to give these guys racing room, inside at Aqua Minerale, he was never getting round the corner. If he hadn't hit Zanardi, he would have gone straight off. That was really awful. Down into Rivazza for the final time. Andy Priaulx smoking them up right over the back of Dirk Muller's car. Had to get out of the throttle. You heard it from the onboard. He was just too fast in. Priaulx's got no tyres left at all. So Zanardi dramatically loses 3rd, but Dirk Muller holds his line, holds his nerve, holds his resolute defence to take victory in race 2. Round 8 of the World Touring Car Series goes to Dirk Muller. Andy Priaulx, dramatic 2nd. Giovanardi, a win and a 3rd here at Imola. 4th place, Ricardo Rydell. 5th, Augusto Farfus. 6th on Alex Zanardi, ahead of Terting, Plato and Garcia. Dirk Muller, another determined race. He is not going to let this year's championship go for want of trying. In the end, Zanardi finishing 6th, but it could have been so different for him. So Alex disappointed there. Dirk Muller still leads, opening up the gap once more to 6 over Priaulx. Tarquini in 3rd, with Farfus and Giovanardi ahead now of Jürgen Muller and Antonio Garcia equal on points. BMW and Alfa Romeo, the big hitters here this weekend, sat a little bit in the doldrums. They still lie 3rd in the manufacturer's standings. And that then
Well, Imola again providing us with some fantastic action. My thanks to Martin and David. Next time we're off to Mexico and the circuit at Puebla. Rounds 9 and 10 will take place there, and it promises to be a real motorsport fiesta. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.